How you doing, folks? I kind of want to go over today on arrow tuning. I'm getting this Bob Lee tuned in. I've kind of went ahead and I know about where I need to be at, so I can make this video kind of go by, but I'll explain the process. Uh, and I'll share some mistakes that I made, and it almost cost me 120 bucks. So what I normally like to do when I start out, you got to know where your shelf is cut to, whether it's cut past center, 1/8 inch, 1/16, 3/16, or it's cut to center, or it's cut 1/8 inch before, or you just don't have a shelf and you're shooting off your hand. So that does make a difference on how stiff a spine that you need and what you have to do. Another thing to consider is string material. B50 is a little bit slower compared to a D97 Fast Flight or any other fast flight material. That will change your dynamic spine of the arrow in flight, so all that needs to be taken in consideration. And the spine of the arrow, this is a 500 spine, it's full length. But right around 31 and an 8, just a little over. So I usually start out full length, and what I normally would do is put the regular insert in and play with tip weight. Then I would add my tip weight once I got there and got them flying halfway decent. If they were just slightly weak and I had to cut, I would figure out what the insert weight is, and it don't have to be real exact, but you don't want to be 25, 30, or 50 grains off either. But just a general roundabout number. If you hit say 196 with 175 grain head with a 21 grain insert, you're gonna be about 196. That's what I had with another shaft, because all your inserts are not really straight same across the board. The Beeman ICS bow hunters are 21 grain insert. They're a longer aluminum insert, and the center shots are 19 grains. So most like gold tips, like 12.5 roughly. These traditional onlys were made by Easton, is the arrow I'm tuning in, has a 14 grain insert. So I didn't start out that way. I started out with 250, and just was kind of oblivious. I was kind of in a hurry, and you really don't want to be in a hurry because it almost cost me 120 bucks. So, and I would have to rebuy 500 spine arrows because I cut them way too short. Then I'm going to have to add a boatload of insert weight to get these things to fly right, and I may not get the distance that I need. I bought some 400s and tried those. Even with 250, they were flying kind of funky, so I even started going up. I had like 315 grains up front at full length, and they straightened out the Aeroflight, but it's got a lot of drop. So close range hunting for that, would be good. I was shooting out here at about 21 yards. So, and I always start with a bare shaft and a flex shaft, for the reason being, if you fly all bare shafts, get them down the center, and they're all impacting center straight, then when you fletch them, they're going to be a little bit on the stiff side. So I like mine when I'm at that finish or close to my finish point to be slightly weak, because when I check them with a broadhead, that's going to be my final say in whether my tune is good or not. So don't be in a hurry is one mistake I made, and know where how your shelf is cut, and that's going to make a world of difference in helping you tune. For some of the newer folks that's getting started, if you can't group consistently, I don't care whether it's left, right, and your arrows are not grouping consistently, don't try to tune, because I made that mistake trying to tune way too early, and it cost me a whole dozen shafts, because my form will get better. Your form will get better and consistent the way you shoot. So just take that in consideration. If you can't group, consistently, I wouldn't even try it. I'd wait a little bit longer until you could. Another thing is, after the fast flight, your string material, once you get all that stuff figured out, don't come out with the mindset to tune. Just come out here to shoot, and your arrow, your bear shaft will tell you exactly, your arrows give you all the information you need for a right-handed shooter. And I try not to look at knock left or knock right on a target, because a target can give you false readings. If I can catch it in flight and I see it's knocking left or knocking right, it'll tell me what I need. If it's knocking left, I may have to decrease point weight or cut a little bit, or if it's stiff, I might have to add to get that bear shaft to straighten up and fly. And also, about lost my train of thought there, but when I don't trust a target, it'll give you a false reading sometimes. The target I got there, it's pretty steady, not real good, but I just look at impact. If the impact's right for a right-handed shooter, it's weak. Impact's left for a right-handed shooter, it's stiff, and it'll be the opposite for a left-hand. So I'm gonna start out with a full length, and I didn't start out with the regular insert, 14 grain insert. So I've kind of already know, but I'm gonna start out with a 50, and I'm looking basically for a weak shaft, and so I can get my arrows going down. I don't want a long arrow, I want a shorter arrow. I shoot instinctive. I'm not having aiming. I don't use an aiming method, so I don't really need the longer shaft. So we'll start and we'll go down and I'll show you how it impacts. And another thing before we get started, make sure everything that's on your bow that you're going to have, quiver, full of arrows, silencers on there. So if you start trying to tune, you know, even when you started with your knock height, you know, and you didn't add the silencers and you already got your knock height set, and when you add those silencers, that knock height's going to drop because you're adding stuff in there into the string, so which makes that string tighter. So keep that in mind also. So make sure before you even get started, even with the knock height, make sure everything's on your bow. And we're shooting here about 21-ish, 20, 21 yards, I believe. I'm at 21, so I'm in that general area. We'll shoot a flex shaft first. Yeah, I think I took a bad shot. Yep, again. Like those bad shots, but I know they're weak anyway out to this distance, so we'll look at the impact. I think my bow arm kind of shifted to the right. Well, not real bad, but you can see one thing you got to remember, fletching hides a lot of bad arrow flight, especially if you're using larger fletching, if you don't take the time to tune. This is full length shaft. It still impacted right, but you can see where my bear shaft is. I kind of hit high. I'm not worried about height or hitting dead center. I'm worried about left and right when I tune, and I'll practice getting the precision in after I've got everything tuned. So, you know, I wouldn't even use this because we're good about 6 inches away, roughly 6 to 7 inches maybe, or 4 to 5, somewhere right in that range. So I'd say that's weak. And what I'm trying to do is make this bear shaft come over here with my fletched. Some people don't worry about that. I mean, it impacts straight, so I'm good on spine. Some people don't worry about whether the bear shaft's hitting, you know, exactly where. The reason why I do it is because of rain. When you have your fletching shrink up, which everybody's had that happen. I've got caught in a 3D tournament, and my arrows were flying exactly the way my bear shaft was, and what I called good. Got them moving long. They were still kind of long, but didn't really want to cut. I just kind of was playing around with them for a while, and my bear shaft was impacting, or my fletch shaft that was wet was impacting low and just a little bit right. So that tells me, you know, when I got home and tested it out, so oh yeah, it flew exactly like my bear shaft. So just, you know, when your feathers get wet or something like that, your flex shaft is going to follow your bare shaft. I learned that kind of the hard way. And I got caught in the middle of the course in the rain. So now I'm at about 30.5. So I cut a complete 1/2 inch off of the way how far my bare shaft was. And if you're not real comfortable doing that, cut a little bit at a time. It'll take you longer, but in the long run, it'll help you out. You know, you won't overcut. So I'm gonna start again, same process. I'll start with the flex shaft and throw the bare shaft. Okay, we'll go look at that. If you felt like you made a good shot, then you can go down there and look at it. If you don't feel like you made a good shot, then, you know, pull them out and reshoot it. Okay, so now I'm from a knock height, you know, I'm impacting the same, so I overshot it. So this is still way over here, way far to the right. And I can probably shoot that again, but for time's sake, we'll shoot it again just to see if I get the same reaction. I want good bare shaft flight as best as I can get, and it's not going to be perfect because we're not perfect. So we just try to get the best we can with the way we shoot. So. We'll just shoot this again, see if it gives me the same type reading. And during this process, I don't even worry about hitting center or nothing like that. I'm just more worried about left and right. Left and right for me is a little bit more important in my tuning than hitting dead center. Because if you get everything tuned right, so I'm basically impacting the same spot, you know, I might have took my eye off my target. I am aiming for here or looking for here, but I want to get close to this vertical line as much as I can. So I'm still, my bare shaft gave me the same reading. And you kind of see it's kind of a little bit knock right, but again, a target will give you a false reading. So it impacted right from where I was looking here, and I'm a good little bit off. So I what I did was jump the gun again and I took off another 1/2 inch. So if I'd have overcut, I got 100 grain inserts that I can re-add back in and get that shaft to where I need it to be. But I'm gonna drop these two. Grab my bare shaft, and then this is cut to 30 inches. And that's what's in my quiver right now. That's what I'm playing with. That's what seems to fly the best. With a 50 grain insert, 150 grain head. I got about 200 grains up front. And I'm just gonna take a flex shaft and a bare shaft and we'll see how that impacts. And I should be closer to that line than I was. Like I kind of messed up on my bare shaft, but that's all right. But now you can see on how much it moved. And I've shot this bare shaft along with these flex shafts, and it hits with them every time. I got a little bit of wind out here, and also that's another thing I like to check. And this is the tune I'm playing with, a 30-inch arrow with 200 grains up front. And I've shot it, you know, on out, and I'll do another video on distance. But that's my point. It's still a little bit weak, but it's not real bad compared to what I had. And really, when you tune, don't try to cheat yourself and don't try to get in a hurry, especially if you're trying to get good arrow flight, because the more your arrow, the more your fletched arrow, when it flies, the more it does this, especially if you're a hunter, that's energy lost, you know, every time. So you want these arrows to fly good as possible. There's dime a dozen ways to tune the arrows to your bow. I have seen people get stuff and just start cutting, get a certain tip weight and start cutting and get the arrow flight. If you would just use 2 arrows, it's a lot easier to lose 2 arrows than it is all 12. When you get down to close to your final, you get to your final tune, you're calling it good, then you can cut your shafts. It'll save you a whole lot of heartache. It'll save you a lot of money. And I remember when I first done it, lost a dozen arrows. I told my wife, she looked at me like, you don't even know what you're doing, you know. And so I started learning to take my time. I had one shaft I shot for a year before I even started cutting on it. You know, it's just getting the consistency and all that. So I'll get some videos together. We'll just do some distance shooting with this shaft and look at the arrow flight. But I'll go ahead and take another shot just to see if it was a hoax, and we'll see what it looks like again. I always like to confirm what I do, and you know, I may drop my form, it'd be all funky, you know, but I felt like on those first 2 with this length, it done pretty good. So I'm gonna do it again to see if I can get the same reading. And I'm over to the left, my bow arm was moving, but if I can get this bear shaft close to that line, that's all I'm worried about. And voila. And like I say, you got to tune into how you shoot. And a lot of guys will tell you got to have really good form to bear shaft. You kind of do, but also, yeah, I shot real high, so it's pretty much impacting the same way. I could probably reduce tip weight, it'll move it. I don't really want to reduce that. I still got an inch to play with, so I got a busted up arrow that when I shot a 3D tournament over the weekend, hit something hard, that brass bent, so it busted my shaft. So I can actually get that cut down and kind of test if you got a broken shaft. You know, if you think you're not quite there, like I'm still thinking I'm not quite there, but I'm not willing to go any further, I'm just going to use a shaft I got. If it'll cut down an inch, if I can get that, if I know if I cut down an inch to 29, and that's one of my limits, and if it flies better, that'll kind of help you out. But I'll do that at a later date. I'm just going to play around with these 30-inch arrows where I've got my tune at right now. My broadhead flies good, but if I call it good, I'll throw the broadhead on it, which I've already done. It flies really well, but I'll just do it on video to show you and all that. So I hope this helps. Just remember, take your time hunting, or not hunting, but tuning, and just don't go out with that attitude to tune, you know, and that way you're not all tensed up. I've been out here, I know, countless times, most part of the afternoon trying to tune, getting aggravated, stuff like that. So if you get aggravated, quit, just leave it alone until the next day or so, and come back to it with a fresh mind and a good attitude, because sometimes it'll make you want to take your bow and use it for firewood pretty quick. It can literally drive you crazy. You just don't have to get to a point, this is good, I'm rolling with it, and see what happens. So I hope this helps, and I hope y'all have a great day, and God bless.